Hey there, everybody. It's Gleekon here again for the latest episode as we start Chapter 2. Um, so we wrapped it up with kind of the creation of the world, the universe, the worlds. Chapter 1 kind of just established that there was good, kind of, the Titans, neutral, demons, which are part of the ether realm, ethereal, and then the evil, which are the old gods. Nathrazim are built in there too, and we also see kind of the splintering off of Sargeras from the rest of the Titans. And that brings us to Chapter 2, which is called Primordial Azeroth. So now we are specifically honing in on the world that we all love. Okay, this first section is called Reign of the Elements. For many long ages, the Pantheon continued searching the cosmos for nascent Titans, bringing order to countless worlds in the process. Yet, despite their efforts, they did not find any more of their kin. At times, the Titans of the Pantheon wondered if their search was in vain, but always they resolved to press on. They knew in their hearts that more world souls existed, and this hope filled them with purpose. Though the Pantheon did not know it, their intuition was correct. A miraculous new world was taking shape in an isolated corner of the Great Dark. Deep within this world's core, the spirit of a mighty and noble Titan stirred to life. One day, it would be known as Azeroth. As the nascent Titan developed, elemental spirits roamed across the world's surface. Over the ages, these beings became ever more erratic and destructive. The burgeoning world soul was so vast that it had drawn and consumed much of the fifth element, spirit. Without this primordial force to create balance, Azeroth's elemental spirits descended into chaos. Fire, earth, air, and water, these were the forces that lorded over the infant world. They reveled in unending strife, keeping the face of Azeroth in constant elemental flux. 4 elemental lords, powerful beyond mortal comprehension, reigned supreme over innumerable lesser spirits. Of the elemental lords, none could match the ruthless cunning of Alakir, the Wind Lord. He often sent his elusive Tempest minions to spy on his enemies and sow distrust among their ranks. Using feints and ruses, he would pit the other elementals against each other, only later to unleash the full fury of his servants on his weakened foes. The winds would howl and the skies would darken with storms at his approach. As lightning blasted the world's surface, Alakir's whirlwind elementals would come screaming from the heavens, enveloping his foes in monstrous cyclones. Ragnaros, the Fire Lord, despised Alakir's cowardly ways. Compulsive and brash, the Fire Lord embraced brute force to annihilate his enemies. Wherever he went, volcanoes would burst through the world's crust, spewing forth rivers of fire and destruction. Ragnaros longed for nothing more than to boil the seas, reduce the mountains to slag, and choke the skies with ember and ash. The other elemental lords fostered a deep hatred of Ragnaros for his brazen and devastating assaults. Therazane, the Stone Mother, was the most reclusive elemental ruler. Ever protective of her children, she raised towering mountain ranges to ward off her enemies' assaults. Only after they had worn themselves thin against her impregnable fortifications would the Stone Mother emerge, wrenching open giant chasms in the earth and swallowing entire elemental armies whole. Those who survived would meet oblivion at the fists of Therazane's most powerful servants, walking mountains of unforgiving crystal and stone. The wise Neptulon, the Tide Hunter, was careful not to fall for Alakir's schemes or to commit his minions to fruitless attacks against Therazane's citadels. As the armies of fire, air, and earth clashed across the face of Azeroth, the Tide Hunter and his elementals would divide and conquer their rivals in brilliant routs. When his foes fled, Neptulon would crush them beneath tidal waves that dwarfed even Therazane's highest mountain holdings. The apocalyptic battles between the elemental lords raged for untold millennia. Dominion over Azeroth constantly shifted between the factions, each one striving to remake the world in its own image. Yet for the elementals, victory was secondary to the conflict itself. To them, the world's calamitous state was sublime, and their only desire was to continue their endless cycle of chaos. So that's neat. So as Azeroth begins, the prehistory of Azeroth is the 4 elemental lords, which we've actually heard of, all of them. Now, I personally, I don't know that I've heard of Alakir. There's a little bit of areas that I'm a little, like some of the lore areas I'm a little weaker in, some expansions where I kind of tuned out and wasn't in the WoW world. But certainly I've heard of Ragnaros. And I mean, he's in the World of Warcraft board game as one of the main bosses. Yeah, so he's a big one from really near the beginning. Therazane I recognize from Cataclysm expansion. She takes a big role in Deep Home Zone. And Neptulon, I've definitely seen him. Can picture him. I don't know which expansions he's really biggest in, but at least I've definitely heard of him. Alakir, maybe that's a BFA thing, or no, maybe that's Cataclysm also where that comes in. Maybe some Uldum, maybe. And again, I kind of mentioned this quest before. The one where Thrall is kind of dealing with the 4 elements, so they might play a role there. Anyhow, pretty cool start to it all, and I look forward to continuing chapter 2 with all of you guys. Thank you, as always, for giving me your attention and giving me your time, and I look forward to the next episode. Adios.